welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and page 64 in our sketchbook. Now, you're going to be excited with me, I hope, but I'm continuing this series, but with a new set of pictures now. My hubby and I just got finished traveling. We spent 17 days traveling in Ohio and Michigan, and so the pictures I'm going to be doing on the next several layouts will mainly be pictures from Michigan. I'll probably intersperse a few family events in there. But this is one of my favorite places that we went in Michigan. It was a place called Tequamanon Falls, and some ladies that I scrapbook with in Michigan told us about this place, so we had to go there. I've already laid my pictures out kind of based on the sketch in the book, and then I've picked some papers from the Leave Nothing Behind collection. Some are from the textured papers and some are from the designer papers. But I'm going to go ahead and make my cuts and we'll get this page done. I think it's going to be a pretty quick one. So I decided to use this one as my background. And there are several cuts on here. There's a 12 by 3/4 top and bottom. And I'm going to use this paper with the rock look on it for that. So I just need 2 3/4 pieces for that. Now, it also shows a 3/8 piece here and then a 3/8 piece here. Now, this one along the bottom, I'm not real worried about, but the one that's on the top, that 3/8 piece, I'm going to use this little tree paper for. And 3/8 is going to be about lined up with this 1 centimeter right here. I'm going to do that. And then the only other major cuts on here, besides cutting our pictures, is going to be this little triangular shape right here. And these are 3 inches tall by 3.5 inch wide triangles. So what I'm going to do is cut this paper. I'm going to make these little tree shapes out of this. So I'm going to cut it at 3 inches tall first. That seems really short, but we'll go with it. Then I'm going to cut 3.5 wide. Whoop, messed that one up. 3.5 wide, how about it? I'm going to need 3 of those, so we'll see if I can make the glitch work. 3.5 wide. And that is just feeling really weird. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of fold these in half to make the point. And I'm going to cut from the fold to the bottom edge, just on my trimmer. Fold to the bottom edge. And that should give us the angle in the sketch layout. I'm not sure if I love that part of this layout or not, but I felt like I would give it a shot. I did think too, if you had a sporting event, that would be a really neat page where you could turn it sideways and make those look like banners for your team colors, school colors, whatever. And I think that would be a nice look for this page. I didn't have any sporting things to do, so I decided it had to be trees for this one. And again, you don't have to use the particular shapes that they've shown on there. It's okay to change them up to make them the way you want them. For me, I just decided that it was going to work. So we've got those 3 trees, and I do have a split here where I messed that up, but I'm still going to use it. So for the bottom, I'm going to tape this on and then put the trees down. Now again, I'm kind of skipping that extra 3/8 inch right there because I don't necessarily want that there. If I put it, the trees are just going to kind of run into it anyway. But I did want to bring some of that green to the top there. And you'll notice my points on my little trees are not real great. Now the colors that I chose because of what I saw in my pictures. The falls were kind of a coppery color. And you can't see it as much in these pictures, but on the page that faces this, you're gonna see a lot more of that. And I felt like this background pulled a lot of that. And then this rock paper, I only had one sheet of it left, so I couldn't use it as a background, but it reminded me of the rocks of the sign right here. So I did want to incorporate a little of that rock paper too. I feel like I've been out of practice in scrapbooking. We were gone for so long that I didn't get much scrapbooking time, and I just feel like I'm kind of having to relearn what we do here. I'm just trimming these tips up just a little, just to make them a little more pointed. And they stuck theirs kind of all together in the center with some side areas showing. I don't know why, I feel like theirs are a lot taller and skinnier, but I did the 3-inch tall by the 3.5 wide base, which is what it actually called for. So out of tape. I've heard more and more people complaining lately that their tape isn't working correctly, and be sure that you're checking this little spot inside your tape holder. Occasionally you have to replace these cases because that plastic does break down over time. So be checking that when you replace your tape, and make sure that that plastic in there is not wiggly. If it's starting to get loose, you just need to replace the case. The case is only $1. I mean, you buy it with a new roll of tape, so it only costs you $1 to replace it. Now, the only other thing on this design-wise would be these strips that go through the middle of the trees. I didn't necessarily want 2 extra borders there, but I did find this sticker sheet, and if you were to ask me where it came from, I would not even be able to tell you. I just don't know. But I like this. I like the outdoorsy look of it. I would love to add these extra trees along there. The problem is I'm going to need a 2-page spread of this, so that's not going to work for me. But I did like this greenery. It's a little bit brighter than what's here, but it really mimics the colors of the trees in the pictures. And I'm just going to run this along the edge of the border rather than making it go up higher on the trees. And it just kind of separates this little bottom cut border from the trees. And then I'm going to be ready to put my pictures on. Now, they've cut their pictures down to 4 by 5.5. Now, mine is a little bit larger because it's a 4 by 6. There's another picture underneath there. And I was looking at the fact that they had the bottoms of their pictures lined up, and I like that. I did develop these again through Shutterfly. I used the white border option again. The one thing I didn't like about them is that the white border is a little bit smaller on the bottoms of most of them on one side than the others. I don't feel like it really stands out a lot on these, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm going to crop these 2 down anyway, so it's going to be all right. Now, these pictures are 2 3/4 by 3.5. So it looks like a 3.5 tall. Now on this one, I want to get the falls in there. I'm looking where my 3.5 spot is. And so I'm just kind of try to center the falls visually on that 3.5 spot. And then I'm going 2 3/4 here. 2 3/4 is going to be over here. I liked the boat that was out there in the water. I thought that was a nice look. And this kind of brings the little falls into focus. So we can put that one over here. Now this one, I'm going to do my 3.5 as the width because it's going to be up here kind of sideways. And I'm going to do that 3.5 wide. And then not as tall. So 2 3/4 for my height. I want to keep the falls in there. So we've got those. Now the only other thing I'm going to need to do on this is to go back and add my white border back onto that. So let me get a piece of white paper and do that. Okay, so I've got my white paper and I found a couple of scraps. This is 3 by 3 3/4 for the matting here. And these are actually cut to the right size. And that's going to be a little bit bigger matting than I've got around the outside edges of those photos. So I am going to cut this down just a hair and make it more like what's on the photos. And again, if you kind of skipped that part or skimmed it, these were matted from the developer at Shutterfly. Again, I hate not using Creative Memories for the developing, especially when I've got so many pictures to develop. But I just love having these white borders on there. And I actually chose the smallest white border this time. It's like a 0.1 because my borders were a little bit too big last time and I didn't like it quite as well. This 0.1 is a little small just because their cutter was off a touch. So I didn't get as much white border on one side of each picture. But I'm not going to be real picky about it. So this one is overlap the top. This one is here. And we can add these pictures. Now I'm going to go down just a little bit. If you are from Michigan, I just want to give you a big shout out. Your state is lovely. We had such a good time there. There were so many more things we could have done. We just ran out of time. And you'll be seeing a lot of pictures of Michigan over the next few weeks. Probably my favorite thing was pictured rocks. And when you see the pictures for that, you're going to want to go there too. It's going to be on your bucket list as well. But we absolutely loved it. Had a great day there. But this place was also pretty. Tequamanen Falls. And the only reason I can remember how to say it is because we saw a sign that said Tequamanen rhymes with phenomenon. And so every time I see that word, I think of that. All right, now I had one little sticker that I wanted to add. I think this probably came out of one wilderness pack, not necessarily the Leave Nothing Behind. But I liked it because we were in the woods for this. And I'm just going to add that in the woods right here. There's a title space with a little embellishment. I'm not going to put a ton of embellishments on this page. In fact, no more. But I am going to add this in the woods. You can tell it was a little chilly. We were there in May. It was a little chilly that day, so we had to wear jackets. Perfect weather, in my opinion. It was usually in the 60s with a little breeze blowing. I liked it a lot. All right. So, that is it. Now, remember the only things that I did very differently. I didn't put another little paper border here. And these two borders that overlapped those triangles, I decided to leave off. I just added this one row of greenery instead. But this is one page. I'll be doing a facing page for it. I'm not sure if I'll do it exactly the same or if we'll pick up the next sketch and do it. But this is page 64 in your sketchbook. And until I see you next time, happy scrapping.